Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to the meeting of the Williamsburg Area School District Board of Directors for January 12th, 2021. We do have some people in attendance here today with us, as well as on our Zoom meeting, and we'll start today with the pledge.
To the flag, United States Republic, one nation, God, indivisible, liberty, justice for all.
Okay. Ms. Kuzer, you're listening to all this, I'm sure.
Yes.
Okay, and we have everyone, all the board members are in attendance today, so we have one here. On to then the approval of the agenda. We did have a change. I think everybody was identified or notified of that. There was an addition under the business items, which would an executive session that was added. Number 2 on the business. Those were different than what you got on Friday. Anybody, would anybody like to make a motion to approve that?
So moved.
Second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? What you had to say for opposed? Okay. Okay. Next item is the minutes. Have any issues with the minutes from our last meeting? December. Not. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes? Approve. Second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? You. Okay. Anyone?
Yeah.
Okay. We have one public comment that I will read, and Dr. Klein is going to address that in his superintendent report. So I'm going to kind of flip that. Okay with everyone that way. Okay. Public comment is from Paul and Susan Cease. They live on Old Forge Road. There have been 7 new cases of COVID-19 at WASH's since the return to in-person classes on January 4th, 2021. According to the PA Department of Education website, the level of community transmission in Franklin County is in the substantial range. The recommendation for large pre-K to 12 school buildings close for 3 to 7 days if there are 6 to 10 cases in the same building. If we are following the recommendations put out by the state, WASH should have started virtual instruction today. Our concern is that we are not helping the already stressed medical system, are potentially exposing our faculty and families by continuing in-person instruction during this post-holiday surge in cases. We appreciate your dedication to educating our students at this time in-person learning, but it is not the safest option with such a large number of students in the building at this time. Thank you for your time. And that is the only comment. So I believe Dr. Klein usually gives us an update anyway. So
I do have an
update
to give. And first of all, kind of address that. One of the things that, I've had this conversation several times with our solicitor on the span and the ranges of the days that we spend classes and also the number of cases. He said there is no direction of how to use those days, that we have the latitude. I use them strategically depending where we're at in the calendar. Sometimes if we're close to like this weekend, we have a weekend coming up. We look at the number of cases. If we feel like we can go to 10 and then we have that break coming up, I'll probably go to the 10. If I feel like there's a good chance that I'm hearing there are a number of tests going on in the school and we're at 8 or 9, then what I do, I wait and get those tests. If they come back positive and we go to 11, I have to close for 14 days. So my point is that if I close it too soon when you hit number 6, you could very well come back. And then over the next 2 weeks, you could have more cases and you're closed again. So for continuity, what I try to do is keep it so then we can have most continuity for the students in learning. Again, the state has not, one thing I've asked the state for is the data and the research that shows that the 3 to 7 days or whatever it is for suspending classes and going virtual, and the 6 to 10 days for a certain size building, what data and research they have that shows it really makes any difference or why those dates. And there's no answer. It's just something they picked from my understanding. So again, we have no data that shows that the way we're doing it is making any. And that'll bring it up to my report. And I'm going to ask Mr. Erickson to go ahead and put I have a 3-slide thing I just want to go over. The district had a formal complaint filed against it back on December 9th. And if you look, it was filed to PDE, the Department of Ed, and the Department of Health to their hotline or their mechanism for reporting concerns to businesses and about schools. So I received a call from one of those review team members on December 17th. He's very nice, very cooperative, and said, here's what you're going to see. You're going to get a letter. These are the complaints that were made. So I received the official letter, and I'm going to put the official letter that I received that day and also the official letter I got back with the results, which you can see that those results came on January 7th. I sent in the information and responded to all their questions and everything they had with all the documentation I could, and all the questions they had that I had to fill out. I sent all that back in on December 22nd. And again, they sent me a final response on the 7th. I will put on the website this little short presentation, but I will also put the official letter that we received the first time and then the response letter. Go ahead, Mr. Erickson. So if you a little too far, there we go.
There we go.
The PDE requests, what they wanted to know is how we're addressing face covering evidence and all those kind of things, that we tried to advertise it, that we tried to put it out there. We looked at our discipline referrals of kids not wearing them and being reported. We sent them all that data, which were very few, but we had that data. We sent as much in. One of the issues we had found prior to that time, but actually prior to receiving this, was issues with particularly the high school cafeteria, of how it was being handled since we brought the kids in. I think since then, we've made some adjustments, and we're still trying to look at what's going to be the best situation for that. But again, we also have no proof that that any cases have been contracted during that time. We don't know for sure, but we have no evidence that it's been done. The second thing was they want to know that we're tracking and counting the positives in a good faith manner. So we sent them everything we had, and I think they were overwhelmed. Our solicitor made the statement, they're not going to know what to do with the evidence you sent because they're not going to know how to respond. And obviously they didn't. So because we have a lot of data, probably he felt maybe more data than what they're collecting as a Department of Ed. So we sent it all in and everything that we're collecting and gave it to them. And Mr. Erickson, go ahead to the 3rd slide. So these were the things they sent back to us. What their findings is, one, that the WASD is attempting to adhere to the commitments outlined in the attestation letter. Also, that the district must continue, again, it's stating the obvious, continue to reinforce wearing of masks by all individuals. And when they can't, try to go as much by 6 feet apart during that time, like lunches and such. So we are working towards that to improve that. And I was very upfront, even a month or so prior to this, Department of Health, I had conversations with them, and I talk with them almost every week now, if not almost every day. And I explained to them that we are having a difficult time with some areas and that we can't be 6 feet apart in the classrooms. And their biggest thing was, are they wearing masks in the classrooms? And we said yes. And we're, if it's not, we're not hearing it yet. And if it isn't, and we've heard something, we're trying to address it right away. So the other thing is that it appears that the district has a process in place for counting cases, which we do. This is I can't even
It is
read that.
expected.
Oh, it is expected that the district will follow the guidelines, that, of the matrix and such, with the numbers that warrant. And that's what we're doing. And again, with those numbers, again, the 6 to 10, there's some leeway in there for a reason that the state has given everyone. And and the number of days. So we have fallen within that. And again, we're trying to be strategic how we use those days. And the bottom thing is, keep district staff, students, and parents informed about specific case numbers. What was happening, we were getting lax in there. Many districts have 7 people doing one job. Waynesboro has 1 person doing 7 jobs. So what happened, my secretary, Aaron, who does keep that dashboard going, there for a while, we were very overwhelmed in my office just trying to get this stuff processed. So, and it is a lot because we have it go through one central location. Because if not, what will happen, you're going to get, 6 different or more interpretations of how things should be done. So anytime I hear that a school or somebody goes a little rogue, I call them and get them back on track, say it goes through our office because we want one voice. And that's why we do it. So, and the Department of Health has told me they appreciate that because in other districts, they have nurses calling from here and there, and they're doing it differently in one school than another. We're not. We're doing it one way. So I want to make sure everybody knows that. We've only gotten positive notes back. Are there places that we can continue to improve? Yeah, we know there are, and we're going to continue to look as we hear things from people. We did, one thing with performance excellence that I've always been involved with, and I didn't think about it early on until maybe a few weeks ago. I thought, I don't know why we didn't put this in place, but we did put a mechanism in place that the staff can report a concern that they have. Now, the only thing we do tell them they have to put their name because we try to get back to them within 24 hours, at least to let them know that we got back to them and that we're going to investigate this. So, and we have gotten at least one, I believe. So, and we have, going through the process with that one. So we're hoping that will help us understand what's going on in the district because it is very busy. It keeps us pretty busy, even though everything we're reading and hearing from different groups, hopefully in the next few months, by the end of the winter, we should start to see a downslide of this. But till then, I think right now we're seeing, I think, some of the results of the holiday hitting. So anyhow, I think that's all I have. Does the board have any questions?
So on called
I think it involves them, but I think it goes through the department.
okay. So I'm assuming that someone calls there, they don't give their name.
I don't know that. I think it's anonymous. It's kind of like a whistleblower's kind of law, but I don't think like I certainly could probably contact them and get the information that they sent to the person, but I don't know if I can get who it is. And it
Yeah.
really doesn't matter to me.
No, I just when you said with the second part, it'd be a lot easier if you could get back to the person.
Yeah, yeah.
And if they told you what was wrong, that you could in fact help fix it.
Right.
Right.
And that's why we put the COVID concerns little thing, I don't know what Dropbox in place was because we were finding that there were some breakdowns in communication. Things weren't getting to us. So we felt that that would be a one way to at least give people a little more independence to be able to put a concern in there. But again, they have to put their name because we want to get back to them and let them know that we dealt with. So, was that what was the actual thing, or there may need clarification. So.
But it's a way to get the situation corrected, and that's a positive thing.
Yeah. Yep.
And there isn't retribution for doing that.
Right. And I think the one we had was asking about getting more coverage of support staff, I think. And the problem is, You know, we can't just hire support staff. We lose more support staff than we can hire usually.
Mhm.
And with the competition out there for jobs, it's hard to hold on to them now. I had to have a new HVAC system put in, and one of the guys putting it in was one of our former employees. So we lost him to another company. So anyhow, so any other questions or anything else?
Okay, thank you very
All right,
much,
thank
Dr.
you.
Klein. Again, puts in many, 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 many hours.
Mm.
Responded quickly to the complaint very thoroughly, and not surprised to me that came out on the right side. But it's nice for everybody to know that. So thanks for sharing that.
Yeah. Thanks.
Okay, next, it's Mr. Mayor. Going to tell us something, something good, I hope.
All depends.
Okay.
Good evening, directors. Todd, I'm sorry, Dr. Klein. I mean, I've only known him for 50 years, so
I think it's longer than that.
minimum 50 years.
There you go.
When he first came back to Waynesboro and came into police headquarters, we both said, it'd be Todd and Dick. So, but that's no problem. This is a proclamation concerning School Choice Week. Hope you can hear me well enough. Hate to take up your time, but I think it's important. Whereas all children in Waynesboro should have access to the highest quality education possible. And whereas Waynesboro recognizes the important role that an effective education plays in preparing all students in Waynesboro to be successful adults. And whereas Waynesboro is home to a multitude of high quality public and non-public schools from which parents can choose for their children. And whereas Waynesboro has many high quality teaching professionals in all types of school settings. And whereas School Choice Week is celebrated across the country by millions of students, parents, educators, schools, and organizations to raise awareness of the need for effective educational options. Now, therefore, I, Richard A. Starupper, Mayor of Waynesboro, do hereby recognize January 24th to the 30th, 2021, as Waynesboro School Choice Week, as I call this observance to all of our citizens. I had this set up for the 26th. That's what we originally talked about, and I had to go home and redo it. So, but appreciate all of you for your work.
All right.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
I think my daughter said she was going to be listening in, so. Now, I
Say
wouldn't
hi.
be here, wouldn't have been for her, because she called and told me I was on the agenda. But I do appreciate everything that you're doing as a paying taxpayer and as Mayor of Waynesboro, and keep up the good work. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, our next item is, we're just going to hear about this bond refinance opportunity. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. So just as a heads up, there are some bonds out there that we may be able to refinance. The margins are very, very tight. The savings are very minimal. We're talking about $73,000 possibly over the next 7 years. Predominantly, most of it would be picked up in the next year, about $58,000. PFM, our financial advisors, have put out an RFP to local banks. The theory is it might be better off to do another bank loan versus actual bonds. There's a little bit lower issuance costs when it comes to a bank loan. So we're just waiting on the RFP results back.
So when they come back, then obviously we have a decision.
Correct. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, board reports. Besides me?
No, I was
Me
just going to
first.
say we meet next.
Okay.
You mean,
Policy.
policy? I was thinking it was tomorrow. It's next week?
And it'll probably be a long one
Got a lot.
because we got a lot.
Okay, Mr. Wingert.
Facility Committee is meeting next week, and I want to make the board aware that there is a change in the date. We are going to be meeting Wednesday. I believe 20th,
Yes.
here in the boardroom here at 6:30.
Thank you. We did have a meeting of the academic committee last week. Some really, really, I thought, good discussion on some possible things we're going to do, really concerning a lot of it next year, as far as how we're going to deal with coming back to school, hopefully, with even more kids coming back to school, and they're all coming from different places of how much work they've done or how little work they've done. And some are virtual and some are here, and trying to figure out really what the best way is to operate, knowing we're going to be dealing with those kind of issues. Talked a lot about implementing more of the first choice. That is going to be part of the first choice philosophy that we're operating under. So I thought they were good discussions. Anybody else on academic? Okay. And the second meeting that I was involved with was the budget meeting. And the budget meeting, there were some questions that Mr. Holtzman had answered about direction we're going, some looking at where we've been. A lot of the budget, of course, is going to be decisions are going to be shaped by what we're going to do as far as bringing all our kids back and implementing more of our first choice options. So a lot of these committees kind of dovetail together. Good. So we're starting that budget process. Things change every day. Some money comes in, we're not expecting. Some money goes out, we're not expecting. So it's really tough committee to be on because there's a lot of unknowns, but we're working on it. And hopefully, as always, we'll do the best for our community. Anybody else on the budget want to talk about?
Yes, ma'am. I think we were going to leave that for the next budget meeting, or I can get them ahead of time.
Right, we're having that 6 o'clock meeting
Right.
on the 26th. Yeah, that's
Oh, certainly. It's a good
Okay.
point. We can certainly go ahead and get those printed
Great
out
idea.
and have those available ahead of time.
okay. Great.
Yep.
Okay. Am I missing any committee? If not, oh, now we're
Yeah. Right, right.
okay. So now we're going to executive session. That we have to do some things we're going to be voting on later, legal issue mainly. So we will ask audience out of the room, and anybody who is online will be up and running again when our exec session is.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Mr. Mayor.
Bye.
Hello, everybody. We are back, ready to begin the business part of the agenda. First item is personnel. Dr. Sternerheim. To the mic.
Yeah, if you could go to the podium, Dr. Sternerheim, that'd be great.
I'd like to direct your attention to the personnel items in the board docs. I want to recognize retirement of professional staff of Susan Martin, appointment of support staff, change of hours of support staff, appoints of substitute support staff, resignation of professional staff, appointments of support staff, appointments of additional substitute support staff. You have a listing there of requests from leave. If you notice the dates, that some of them are just a carryover from December. I want to also recognize the addition of professional staff, a long-term substitute position at Fairview Elementary. And then as a result of a resignation of a high school counselor, the young lady that was in a long-term sub position has now been offered a contract, and that is the last professional staff listed. So recommendation is approved as listed.
Motion.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions for Dr. Sternerheim?
I don't know. No, sorry.
Okay, if there's no other questions, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Next item is the Schoology only option for WASH.
All right. As a follow-up earlier, I believe in the last meeting in December, we had discussed, or actually it was the first meeting in December, the Waynesbury Area Senior High School as well as the middle school had created a temporary option of Schoology only to essentially address some of the safety concerns that might have been expressed by a select group of students that had asked if they could simply do Schoology only between the periods of time between Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, and it would extend until the end of the first semester. I was asked to consider the extension of Schoology only for the duration of the school year. However, at this point, as a result of perhaps not having as much information in terms of its effectiveness and recognizing that uh, the high school does have options, additional options for their students, and also recognizing that this was only a temporary, if, for lack of a better word, a Band-Aid to carry us over a period of time. So I would make my recommendation that we would continue with the return of the students who elected for Schoology only. They would be returning to the building on January 22nd.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, next item is the College Counselor MOU, Dr. Klein.
Okay, that MOU, it's the same one you've been approving over the last few years. We've had pretty outstanding people in that position. It's been a great program. I think it still is. I haven't heard it another way from administration. So we're administration's recommending that you approve the MOU to that program for next
Okay, and the cost is still 20 some thousand?
year. I believe it's the
Okay.
same. It has not
Okay.
changed.
Just
Actually,
trying to
they've been
find it.
pretty good about that, trying to keep it the same, especially through these times.
Wonder what would happen, like what happened to that? Did they do?
No, I don't.
So they would just contact kids?
The,
Okay.
We're not able to hear you, Dr. Sternerheim.
They would probably generate opportunities for college visitations and follow-up. So, fortunately, we were late enough into the school year that, at least they had some like most seniors had an idea of where they were going.
Right.
And so it would be a matter of just looking at that junior class and helping them, do some brainstorms and options for.
Okay, that was this one. Okay, do we have other questions? Okay,
30,000.
Yeah,
right.
that's 30,000 on the.
That's
So-
it.
Yeah.
So is it the same person next year?
It's a new person every 2 years. I don't
Okay.
know if it's the same. It would be a new person next year, right? With the contract or not? Okay, okay. We know we renew it every year.
When we started this, one of the big things we talked about was evaluation. And I know we got a report here as to, to give a really good report of how many students you had met with and how many people helped to place in college. How many were first year college kids that parents, what do you call that?
First generation.
First generation. I mean, there's a huge section in here on program evaluation. They should be collecting all that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think
I
as
think-
if they're doing the same job they did in the beginning of this, that's something we should really be celebrating and sharing at a
Sure.
board meeting.
I think it was maybe 2 or 3 years ago, but last year we didn't, and I know we haven't this year.
But I think
But
it'd be
that's
ni- I
something
think
we
it'd be-
can
I think it'd be
do.
nice to look at a 4-year. This is the 5th year.
Yeah, but I
So,
think,
I mean, this year probably is a little weird. You know what I'm saying? But
right. And
but I-
last year we didn't get to, because I think it was in the spring that we did it. It was like 3 years ago, I know we did it, but I don't think the last
Normally, like
two.
in May or June, and then I don't know if at that point if our meetings were all remote. I'm trying to
They were.
recall. Okay,
but I
so
don't think we heard anything the year before either.
okay, so we can. Oh, I thought that's when we did it because I mean
Okay.
that would have. All right, so we can definitely follow up with Jenna.
What
and-
it's but yeah, but I mean, they have the report to
Mhm.
generate. It
Mhm.
shouldn't be like
yeah,
any
I
extra
think
work.
we do the. Remember we did it. I think it's related to graduation, and normally it's like we list all the schools, and but I think that's one of the things that I was like obviously she was able to do a lot of great things, but the number of students that were able to be accepted even at the senior high school, and they waived the application fee.
Right.
The university representative came to meet with them. And so, yeah, a lot of good stuff that we can definitely share.
So you're just asking me to have a report this year
So-
that she can report to
Yeah.
us at some
And
point
she
this
could do it
spring.
Report's already
virtually if we're
done.
not.
Well,
Pardon?
present the, how about
presentation.
present the
Yeah.
report?
So
That
do you
would be-
want just the report, Dr. Royer, or you're looking for a presentation?
I don't care. I just like to know. I
Okay.
mean, doesn't
That'd be
matter.
nice
it'll be
for our
nice
We have her
public,
come talk for a
yeah.
couple
For the
minutes.
public.
I could
Sure,
send her a
probably, like, so we'll look
presentation.
at maybe the end of May or beginning
Yep.
of June.
That's good.
All right, great.
Thank you. Okay, so for voting, right? Okay, on continuing this program, right?
Right.
Okay, do you have a motion?
Oh.
Do I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? School psychologists.
Okay, and I apologize, it's been a little while since we've talked about this one with special ed. We're looking to approve the contract of a psychologist to help with the overflow or the extra evaluations that we have going. I know we've talked about this a number of times over the past year, and the shortage and the demand, shortage of psychologists that we have, and the demand of the need for it. And that's what we're doing here, to be able to pick up some of those extra ones that go over the amount that our inside people can handle.
So
Let me
So
double
we're
check.
approving the contract
there's no contract.
Yeah,
I don't
all
understand
right.
what we're
Company
approving.
or
It
for a
should-
person?
and hiring, we're approving hiring her, correct?
Yes. Wait.
I mean, hiring another full person. No.
No, she's a contract.
And I apologize. I haven't
contract.
looked at this
Pick up
for a
the
while.
slack. This is,
But
we
we
can't
need to know
cover
how
it.
much we're paying her and what the limit is.
Yeah, I don't know why it's,
If it says
we don't
absence,
have that
all
on there,
required
but I will
expenses
double check with that.
and
We
certificate
can
of insurance.
put that on hold until the 2 weeks so we can get that.
Okay.
Not sure where it's.
That's what we'll do. Okay, on to
Right, put that on
policies.
hold.
Taking that one. You, Dr. Klein?
Oh, I'm sorry. What was the next thing? Yeah,
Policies.
that would be me.
Okay.
On this one, that we have one policy 206 that needs some, I think, minor changes on it that we need to recommend. $206.
We're not able to hear you, Dr. Sternerheim.
So policy 206, there's a section that needs removed. And it wasn't, so we just have to fix that one. It's just something that that we discussed at policy with the principals.
Is that coming off this list?
Or you can make the change. It doesn't matter. We can wait and bring it up. I mean, we can wait till the next time.
Do you want to know
but-
what it is? It's like about siblings. I can read it to you if you want.
What about changing attendance area?
Yes.
Prioritize.
Siblings of students who are currently enrolled in the open enrollment school will be given priority consideration. There's no guarantee that all children from one family will be accepted for open enrollment based on the criteria above. So,
An open enrollment has to be done every year, right?
Yes.
yes.
Does that come up soon here? When do they do that?
Question. Open enrollment.
March.
March?
Yeah, this is a new policy.
This is a new policy based on some recommendations as a result of redistricting. That we always sort of had an informal,
No, no, I get it.
and so it
Sure.
sets more criteria and requirements for the open enrollment. So we would at least entertain the idea about open enrollments. However, the ability, you could file the paperwork, but more than likely, as the policy states, family, the information would not be communicated until the end of July, which makes it challenging if you're trying to plan accordingly.
I know this sounds crazy, Rita, but like seriously, it's almost mid-February. It says here that you can request no earlier than January 31 or later than April 1.
Mhm.
So, I know this sounds crazy, maybe I'm missing something, but how would I know what school to apply for open enrollment? Are you gonna tell them that?
No, that is essentially the form that we're in the process of developing. We would have the form submitted so that we knew that was an option. We can't necessarily predict.
So is all four schools are up for grabs then?
We would at least offer them the option to submit a form as an open enrollment option, but we're not making any guarantees.
Okay,
There's a timeline on here. That in terms of when the information needs to be submitted and when parents would be communicated to.
Okay.
So it is a challenge because we have students that move in and out, during the course of the summer. And I think last year the difference was, as a result of redistricting, we were able to determine where we had some additional space.
but just to clarify, right now, any parent in the school district can fill out this form for their child or any of the four elementary.
They can fill it
They can
out.
They can
it
fill
out.
it out.
Okay.
They may not
Yeah.
necessarily get
So-
it, because if you recall
But in
during
the
our.
past, this year, some schools were not, like Hooverville was not open ever, gonna be
Right,
ever open.
yeah, I mean, they may not get it, because they're gonna have to look at the numbers.
But
for
I'll
next
bet
year.
people applied for
Yeah, so in other words,
Even though they
the
couldn't get it.
understanding would be, Dr.
still
Royer,
put
that
paper
like
on.
students, like people who were applied for open enrollment in select grade levels, let's say they were able to get into third grade at Maury and they want to continue to stay at Maury at fourth grade, they have to file the paperwork. So this is more or less about them,
Okay,
and we redistrict for a reason to try to keep, our
Right.
students within their home schools. So
Right.
even if this is an option for a family, they're still required, from a transportation perspective. And so
and those families all know that, right? That they have to apply again?
that will be happening. We have this policy now that's going to
Gotcha.
support that. And so the follow-up would be that those individuals that it impacted last year, our building principals have those lists. They will make sure that those families would have that
Gotcha.
information.
Okay. All right.
And with policy 206, are we recommending a change to what's written there right now, or?
Yes, that
Oh.
was a recommendation, I believe, at the last policy committee meeting to remove number 2.
Okay,
Oh, remove it completely?
so if you have a motion, all you have to do is motion it with removing, except for removing number 2, if you want to do that, or we can send it back, have it changed.
You know what?
No, we should do it
Yeah.
because it starts January 31st.
Yeah, I don't really think that's exact. I don't think we have the time. I would like to send it back to policy, but,
There's so many other things.
well, I just don't think we have the time.
We have a lot on our list.
Yeah, I mean, how about if you just read over it again? And no,
I mean, I'm okay with that,
Okay.
removing number 2. I
All
don't
right.
have, I just want to make sure you guys know your options. That you could either
Or-
remove that now, make that in your motion, or it could go back.
I'll make the motion if you tell me what to say.
Yeah.
Well, Cindy can
Motion
make
to
it.
approve policies as written with removing number 2 from number
Second.
206.
There you go.
Okay.
That work?
Okay.
Second.
Other questions? And this is going to be all the policies that we're voting. on.
Yeah.
Anybody have any questions?
We're moving it, a clarification, we're moving,
Removing it.
totally removing it.
Moving
Number
number
2.
2.
Okay, thank you.
Under the open enrollment, right? Because there's also a number 2 under student transfer and da-da-da. Want to make sure it's the correct number 2.
That's a good point.
Okay, okay.
There is a number 2 under student. So it's number 2 under open.
The
enrollment.
siblings of
Okay.
students, you're
Right.
right.
Okay.
Thank you.
I do have a question about the student transfer and attendance, that number 2.
Okay.
So if they change their legal residence from one attendance the area to the other, are we providing transportation?
I think if they live in that area, we would have to.
Not if they stay in that school.
If they choose to stay in that
Oh, not if they
school?
choose
Oh,
to
I see
stay
what
in the
you're saying
original.
So
now.
they're
Right.
going to be allowed to
Right.
stay,
Right.
so if it's
They
a
would-
Maori kid,
Right,
okay, but they're moving to Summit View
right.
area, and they want to stay at Maui for the rest of the year, the parent needs to provide transportation,
yeah.
Right,
correct?
they'll have to
That's
go
always
through
the
the
case.
Yes.
Okay, it's
process
not-
and,
it's
right.
It's not
yeah.
spelled out here, but I
Right.
just wanted to clarify that would
I'm not sure that sentence shouldn't be added.
It's number 4, isn't it?
Correct.
under-
That's right. That is a
another
provision of
policy.
open enrollment. Yep.
Yes, yes, it is at
It is
number
number
4.
four.
Thank
It's
you.
under
Okay.
number 4.
Yes, thank you.
Got it.
Yeah, it's in there.
On that.
Anything else?
Mrs. Harold, it's
Yes.
Dr. McCallum.
Yes.
The principals were also talking about, we had at the conversation at the last policy committee, we were talking about open enrollment being available for the learners who had attended a school before redistricting. And then like for the current kindergarten, they all were assigned to their home school.
Right.
So we had talked about adding a graduation year into that policy. And I believe it's a class of 2032. That would be the last class that would be available for open enrollment. And I think that's another piece that we overlooked when we looked at that policy.
I hear the recommendation, but I'm not sure I go with it. I mean, I understand what you're saying, but I personally, just hearing this, I don't have a problem with the open enrollment ever, at this point. The parents are providing transportation and we have open space. That's just my sense. I'm kind of glad it's not in the policy right now. Did you guys talk about that?
Wait, I don't remember that. Do you?
I don't either.
I'm sorry, I don't.
I just
I
don't,
don't
I don't
either.
remember it. I mean, I'm not saying that the principals didn't talk about, but I don't remember it.
Well, I think we certainly we can always relook at a policy, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you can always bring it
if
back
you
to
would
us.
like that to be discussed, Dr. McCallum, we can certainly have the policy committee look at that.
Be a good academic committee.
Yeah, or academic committee discussion. But I think at this point, unless somebody objects, we'll vote on this whole group of policies, which is what the
We have a motion in a second.
a motion and a
Yes.
second, right?
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions?
Actually, I already voted.
So if
you
we
vote?
vote to accept this
I voted.
and the principals,
voted.
we decide at a later point, we can amend this particular
Yep,
policy,
yep, we
correct?
can always do
Yep.
that. Yep. Okay, if there's no more questions, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Thank
you. Okay, on to course selection book.
At the academic committee meeting, we had provided hard copies of the course selection book. You can see that there's a draft within the board docs. And essentially we've reviewed it. And at this point, there's not really any additional new coursework or courses at this point. Normally we ask for approval like in January so we can start the course selection process in February. Like everything else this school year, I imagine things are going to continue to be fluid. We've had a lot of discussions about, what will courses look like next year? Will we be able to offer like hybrid options or more hybrid options? And it'd be a matter of, definitely surveying our learners to get an indication of, where they see themselves next school year. Whether or not that's always going to be reflected in the course selection book, I'm not sure at this point, but I'm definitely going to follow up with learner surveys so we have a better understanding and be more strategic with our planning for next school year for various options for our students.
Okay, and my understanding is that none of these courses are new courses, but what we will, or if they're in there, there won't be any new courses added. It will be simply courses that we have already offered this year. Is that correct?
I believe there are 2 courses that are
Mhm.
in the booklet that were offered last year but did not run.
Okay, but we're not looking at adding any new
No,
courses. So if
at
they
this-
will disappear,
No.
if those 2 made it in this book, they won't be there for the kids to actually select, because then we'd have to talk about purchases and things like that. Which
That
we've
is-
decided, which I think was the decision was that that's not going to happen.
Okay. That is
Right?
correct. That is, I mean, we had a discussion during academic committee.
Right.
That is correct.
Okay. Okay. Any other, we're not voting tonight, so everybody can have a chance to look at it. Questions? Okay, thank you very much. Okay, on to a new scholarship. Mr. Holtzman, is that you?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. I can speak to it. This is just for informational purposes, both for the board and for the community as well. This is a scholarship in honor of Charles Thomas. He was a very long-term substitute here for the district, well-loved. And basically, this scholarship is being set up to support both education and kindness. The funds will be held by Waybeck. And so if anybody is interested in donating, if they just make the check out to Waybeck and drop it off at the Clayton office here, we will go ahead and make sure that gets to the appropriate party. And the employees themselves are actually notified via email as well. And so that they have contacts at their building. They can extra.
Great. Very much.
Welcome. Thank you.
Okay, on to,
Will this be awarded this year yet? Or is it for
I'm not
next?
specific
the
about
plan
this
is for
year.
this year.
Yeah.
Is it planned
is
for
it?
this year?
Okay,
Plan
Okay,
is
thank
for
so
you.
this year.
seniors this year.
Yeah, good
Okay.
question. Thank you.
Okay.
They're starting to look at scholarship, applications, things pretty much around this, pretty
Okay.
soon, February,
Okay.
March.
And then
So I
he's
think
April
they're gonna
1st,
have their
okay.
act together. I know that's their intention.
Okay.
Okay, hotspots in Washington Township. For that meeting.
It's me.
There you go, good timing.
So I don't know if you want to do all of the hotspots, 8, 9, and 10 in one. It's up to you. Basically this is a blanket agreement with Washington Township, the Borough Municipal Authority, and Renfrew, and also the Blue Ridge Summit Fire Hall, for us to install the Khajiit mobile hotspots. I forgot to grab it out of my office, on their properties so that we can provide internet for our learners in remote locations other than our school buildings.
Okay. So we're just approving that those locations all be okay to be hotspots.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
I have a question. Yes, we have all the. Yep. I already got all the equipment. It was paid for by, I forget which grant.
One of the grants.
One of the grants.
Okay.
This
One
was
of
the
many.
grant that we applied for in March and we didn't get. And then we miraculously found out that we got it in like August or September. That they added some more money to it and we got it. So.
Questions? Not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? You. Okay, that was for Washington Township. Now we're looking at the borough, I guess. Right?
Yep, and it's
Okay.
the same. Do you want to know what locations we agreed upon?
We have them here, right?
Well, no.
In the
So
borough, it's
Washington
not.
Township. I'll go back. We did the Rouserville Community Center, Red Run Park, and Pine Hill Recreation Center. The Borough or Recreation Park. The Borough. It's going to be Memorial Park, Rotary Park, the Northside Pool, Mount Airy Park. That's actually with the Borough Municipal Authority, and Renfrew.
Good. Good places.
Okay. Go ahead, Dr. Lawyer. Okay. All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other questions? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. You and broadband.
The Blue Ridge Summit Fire Hall. I don't know if did you
We
do
didn't.
that?
Oh, no,
yeah.
I missed
And that's at the fire hall.
Move to approve.
it. Okay. Any
Second.
questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
You, any opposed?
Pardon?
Do we have anything at Quincy? Or?
Yes. It's the Mount Alto Borough.
Okay.
And Michelle Manor. I actually thought of that as I was walking down here, that now that we have the agreement, since these organizations asked for an agreement, I'm going to reach out to them just to see if they want to do a formal agreement as well. They were pretty open, just mount it. So
And our solicitor did review the agreement and the broadband contract. So.
yeah, the solicitor did approve it. And then we worked with the borough and Washington Township solicitor also to make changes as well. So that's why there's really, a few different ones, because they each had their own little renditions that they wanted.
Okay, broadband agreement.
Yes, this is a grant agreement with the Franklin County, Franklin County itself. The district was awarded $138,404.20. Mr. Holtzman and I worked right before Christmas. One thing I did this afternoon, I did receive a message from Corey with the agreement. Inside the agreement, one thing that we didn't catch, it did originally say that that the expenses had to be incurred between March 1st, 2020 and August 31st, 2020. He did make a slight change that it's now December 30th, 2020. So that time frame needed to be extended a little bit because that was our stipulation for that money. So we were able to identify items that we were able to submit to them and get approved by their solicitors that we could get reimbursement for essentially through this grant.
Motion,
Second.
questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Okay, now we're gonna have a condensed version of, I think, Erickson presented to Budget Committee.
Mhm.
Take it away, Mr.
Okay, I'll do the easy one first. The first one is we do have our teacher laptop agreement coming due June 30th of this year. So we do need to renew that lease and so forth like that. At this point in time, I've been working with vendors, and the increase within my budget is about $4,000. So I'm not with everything, with the increase in parts and technology and constraints on the supply chain. I'm actually really happy about that. I was thinking it would be between 10 and 15,000 probably, but I'm happy with that. So I'm going to be working over the next few weeks to get that lower. But that's a good number. I'm happy with that. They came in, a lot cheaper than I thought. With that being said, with those devices, there is about a 10-week lead time on those devices. So we should approve them so that we can get them in and get them swapped out before the summer, no later than probably February at the latest, I would say, so we can get them in and ready. The big ticket item are our learner Chromebooks. Right now, we were very thankful this year that Google did extend the support for our N21 devices, which we have several of, for one more year. So we were able to provide a device to every student in the district this year. The unfortunate thing is that we do have to replace them. So we aren't going to be able to use them essentially after June 30th of this year due to their auto update policy. They're not going to be getting updates. So then it would be a security risk at that point. The other part is our N23s that we originally started our one-to-one initiative Access for All at the middle school with. They are the original, and they are at their point where they're not going to make it another 2 years at this point. So we are looking that we're going to have to replace them. As it is right now, I have over half of that fleet in the shop right now. I cannot get parts needed to repair those devices. So, and that doesn't look like it's going to change. So at this point, I was planning to use about half of them for spares for next year. But also, there's roughly 2,000 devices that we need to, if we want to continue with having a one-to-one kindergarten through 12th, that we would need the device. Unfortunately, that increase to my budget, not the phased-in approach, which was a roughly $20,000 a year. It's about $100,000 increase to my budget this year. So then the bad part is we have to make that decision by the end of this month. So
And
the next meeting.
I will tell you, just a reminder that anytime a student goes to a cyber charter, they're given a laptop. So just to kind of put it in perspective, and we're always kind of in that realm that we do have to have them.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we need this summer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
When we started the Access for All in 2015, I mean, you had this projected out like 10 years.
Yeah, we did have it projected out for 10 years. So, I mean, right now, If we were to do the phased in approach at our elementary buildings, which I don't recommend just given the current situation we're in, roughly 20,000 a year, that's what we projected. So that's about 120,000, based on the flows over those 6 years. But I don't think, I know we've talked, Dr. Klein, Mr. Holtzman, Dr. Sternerheim, talked with the principals. I don't know if we have really much of an option given the current situation we're in, unfortunately.
I don't want to be Chambersburg.
No.
So
And I would imagine there's a lot of people trying to get the computers that are out there.
yes, and that's right now there's a 4 to 6 month lead time on the devices. So if we order them in January, the end of January, so February, March, April, May's the earliest that I could get them, and it may not be until July until I get them. And that's not even guaranteed. That changes almost daily.
And so we would pay for that extra cost with the CARES money?
That could be an option. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah,
Use
that's
the
what I
grant
thought.
money.
Okay.
But what's our total again, Nick? I thought you just said it was a lot less than what I heard the budget.
It's $100,000 increase to my budget.
Okay.
Yeah, right now the current leases are about 70,000 that go out. So we can put that
I'm
back
just
in.
asking your total figure, your total increase for everything you want to do is $100,000
That's just with the access for all that we're speaking about right now.
just for the access for all.
Yes.
But there's more.
So the other additional is the 100,000 that's in there every year. Last year we did cut that out of the budget, and I know we still have plenty of talks to go at this point. So that is something that is possible to get cut. But out of that 100,000, there's probably with our software and so forth like that, we're looking at probably about another 40 on top of that additional that was added this year. And a lot of that cost this year was paid through that CARES money as
Yeah.
well.
Okay, so
Well,
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I mean, you know, the fact that you did come through as quickly as you did and helped people stay within, the educational process that we're trying to work through is amazing. And I really appreciate it. And these kids have to have good computers that actually work. Because if you get, like, just tonight, I mean, I couldn't sign in. Okay, so like seriously, I couldn't do anything, so 'cause I couldn't sign in.
So
I can't sign.
are we, so
You should be able to sign it now.
I did,
So
yeah, I
what we're
can
looking
now.
at-
Yeah.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is, like,
Okay.
one thing could wipe them out.
Mhm.
So I was going to I think I'm anticipating your question. So we would be looking at approving $100,000 buy new Chromebook, order new Chromebook. Other parts that are requested, we could be looking at later.
the budget committee?
Yeah.
Yeah,
budget.
but I'd like to vote and give him the go ahead on these leases.
Oh,
We
yeah.
can't- We can't mess around with this.
Everybody do that?
I do.
I mean,
Budget
I'm not
committee?
I don't think it's fair to put Nick in that position. That you have to, with everything that you're doing behind the scenes that people don't even know about.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, I gave all of my vendors till the end of this week for their best and final offer. I mean, these are not final numbers. And I will not, I mean, if you do that, I mean, those of you that have been on the board, I'm going to try to get, blood from a turnip from these vendors, before anything like that.
I was only thinking, like everything else, that people are really starting to hear this and hearing Nick. I want to digest it before they approve it, but if everybody wants to go for it.
We're just voting on the leases.
Mhm.
Just voting on the teacher laptop lease.
Yeah.
And the
and
replacement of
replacing those.
the replacement of the Chromebook.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And if you think about, we're asking more and more of our teachers electronically, and to have the most recent and newer equipment probably isn't a bad idea.
Oh my gosh, no.
And that's I mentioned it kind of at the budget committee meeting, as we're able to streamline, that's the thing. If we streamline with a specific model and so forth like that, we're able, as my employees and the team, we're able to support that a lot better than supporting several different devices.
Right.
So if we were even looking at the route of trying to do something like a BYOD or something like that, we're going to have personnel costs, because I'm going to need more people to be able to
I don't
support
think
that.
that BYO,
Well, I'm just saying, that would be, I mean, that's, that would be where we're, where we would have to head,
All right,
so.
so am I hearing that we want to vote on this or does anybody want to wait?
I think we should
Okay.
vote.
If I may.
Yeah.
I'd like to say that I think one of the many lessons of COVID
Mhm.
is that technology and access to it is now as essential, I believe, as power, water, and every
Mhm.
family.
Yep.
So it's always been kind of a luxury to have the greatest, but now it's absolutely.
Okay, then, do we have a motion?
I'll
to
move.
approve the Chromebook purchase and the
Second.
lease? All right.
Okay.
Else
So just to be
on
clear for the minutes, though, we're approving so Aaron has it, we're approving the laptop lease for the teachers.
Mm-hmm.
And what would the language for the second part be?
It'll be the Chromebook lease.
The Chromebook lease.
We'll have to get, so what I'll have to do is I'll have to get those, the official final leases, they will have
Okay.
to be board approved. But we can, I can let the vendors know so that they can at least get the orders in. And then once the leases are finalized,
Okay.
and approved at the next meeting, we'll have to get all the signatures and so forth.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, we've had a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you very much as
You
always
bet.
for your support.
Thank you, Nick.
Okay, GASB 75, is that Mr. Holtz?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. This is GASB 75. It's basically a valuation service that we have to do as part of our audit and part of our government-wide financial statements. So it is a requirement. Basically, the PA Trust and Conrad Siegel partner together and give standardized rates across the Commonwealth. We're considered a large average group based on the complexity of those calculations. What they do is they create the calculations for other post-employment benefits, meaning the value of allowing retirees, for example, to stay on our medical plan. They're also working on things such as other post-employment benefits for our PSER. But that's the primary purpose. What that implied cost is to have the individual go.
Okay, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions, for Mr. Holtzman? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, down to business, Mr. Holtzman.
Okay. Oftentimes we do all of the business section together, but I think maybe if it's okay with you just to do number 1 and 2 first
Sure.
and save number 3 separate.
Sure.
So number 1 is basically the cafeteria and general fund bills for payment, as well as requisitions. Number 2 are the exonerations, both for property, per capita, and occupation tax.
Okay, can you just tell us how the cafeteria is doing? You know, we lost all that money
Yeah.
last year. Breaking
Sure.
even? What's happening with all this change?
It's working as well as it can under these conditions. You know, when you think we have about 15 to 20% or more of our students at times at home, so they're typically not coming in.
Right.
Some people were taking advantage of the weekly meals on Wednesdays, the bag lunch for the week, and taking that home. Obviously, when demand goes down, we do purchase fewer food items. So that's usually about 40% of the budget. So if the demand is going down, that cost is basically not going to be incurred by the department. We in the cafeteria area, sort of like other areas, and support staff has been kind of understaffed a lot. So again, our staffing costs have been down as well. Ms. Hellman and her team have been doing a phenomenal job. I don't think we've really done a cost benefit for the year, but they've been doing a great job with the resources and time they have, and been trying to meet everybody's unique schedules that we've changed on them. So they've been doing as good a job as they can. I think if anything, this might be the year where it might behoove us maybe to consider, if you remember, we asked them to pay for the middle school equipment for an entire year. And over 10 years. That's about $55,000 a year that we asked them to transfer back to the general fund. This could be a year where we might have to take a look at that and see if that's really a fiscal direction we want to go in. And it's ironically, it's about the same cost as the freezer that they're going to have to purchase too as well, because they've lost the cold storage facility as well. But so I appreciate the question and asking. Again, they do a phenomenal job. They really do, but it has been a struggle, certainly.
Other questions for Mr. Holtz? Anything on bills? Okay, if not, we have a motion to approve financial. Number 1 and number 2.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, on to Act One resolution.
Thank you. Each year, districts in Pennsylvania, and this has been since 2006, have to decide by a certain date based upon the calendar. I believe for us, it would be, or for the district itself and everyone would be in early Feb, or it's the end of this month, I'm sorry. Yep, thank you. Good memory. So essentially what we have to do is decide whether we want to present a budget, which would say that we need more than what we can raise the property taxes based on an inflationary basis, or the board has to vote to stay within that index for raising property taxes next year. The resolution does not obligate the district to raise taxes. It does not set the tax rate for the next year. That's still to be done by the board at a later point in time this year, before June 30th. But what this does is the recommendation based on the budget committee and the administration is to go ahead and approve the resolution, meaning the property taxes could not go above the index rate for next year, which is 4.1%. This is a little bit higher than previous years. So in previous years, obviously, you used to see a lower number. That is based on two factors. One is the base rate across the state. So the base rate across the state is 3%, meaning the wealthiest school districts in the state could raise their property taxes 3%. But the calculation allows districts that have a greater economic disadvantage to raise the rates even higher. Ours is 4.1. So that just shows you that, you know, the difference between us and a relatively wealthy school district. The highest in the state, if you're curious, this year is actually Duquesne City at 4.9% is what they could raise there.
But it doesn't necessarily mean that it makes sense.
Right.
Correct.
And the recommendation from the budget committee is that we accept the Act One recommendation, or the peak. From what we don't try to go higher. Any other questions about Act One
What is it
resolution?
again? What's the number again?
4.1.
4.1%. Yes.
That's the max. Yeah. Okay.
That
If not,
generates about $1 million for us, give or take.
do we have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Time for Clayton comments. None?
No.
None? Yep.
Just want to remind the board that as part of our Title I parent engagement, we are bringing Mark Perna back to the Waynesbury School District virtual meeting, though. You will receive a Zoom link. It is an evening meeting. We are inviting, obviously all our parents as well as community members, as he shares with us a message of really trying to generate, unleashing power, passion, and purpose, I believe is the three. I have them in the order, with our young people as we try to continue to build first choice in the Waynesboro School District.
Thank you. Okay, is there something at the Life Skills House next week?
No, actually,
No?
that has been
Postponed?
postponed.
Okay.
Yeah. However, we're going to try to do some things that we can, share some pictures and all that of the updates until I think we're moving it back to like March.
March 1st.
Yeah,
Okay.
just because of some of the final details that have to be done and
Okay,
getting
I
it through
just-
the final.
Well, the
approval.
furniture, because of COVID and the manufacturers, the furniture got delayed.
Okay. I just thought that was,
Facility, we were gonna meet there and
Yeah.
do a quick, like, maybe.
are we still gonna go there?
If the committee so desires and anybody else would like to go, obviously that would be fine.
When is that?
We were talking about 6 o'clock, I
Next.
believe.
I
Next
forget what time.
Wednesday.
It was a half an hour before the meeting.
Prior to our meeting, facility meeting. So
When is that?
Wednesday, the 20th.
Next Wednesday.
Thank you.
Well, you'll only see end table, no couch.
Okay, all right. If there's nothing else from Clayton, then any board member comments?
Oh, could I have the address of the Life Skills House?
Sure, 324 West 4th Street.
Okay.
Yep, and I believe the sign is up, is that correct?
The sign is fabulous.
Okay.
Yeah, the sign, could I do just a verbal update?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I was there this afternoon. The sign is up. The painting is pretty much finished. All the appliances are in. They were there. The Husk boys were there today, just finishing touches on the crown molding. The furniture delivery, the first delivery of furniture is on Thursday. I'm helping Cherie waiting out I have more time than she does to wait for a 3-hour furniture delivery window. So, I'm trying to help her out with that. So the furniture is supposed to be delivered over the next, I guess, over the next 3 or 4 weeks.
Okay. Aaron, am I missing a public comment? Did anything else come in by chance? Aaron?
No more public comments.
Even though, yeah, I mean, we try to do the deadline certainly to start, but you know, if somebody puts one in, try to get to at the end. Okay, thank you. So that's it. Do we have a motion to adjourn? We will be going into an executive session on a personnel thing afterwards, but we won't be coming back. So do we have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you very much.